over Oklahoma in just the second ever meeting between these two sides. The only other one was back in 2008, and here's how Molly Rouse's team lines up Marion in a 4-2-3-1 tonight.
A 4-2-3-1 to start statically, but in transition can often look like a 4-3-3. We're highlighting Lauren Montgomery because all offensive play runs through her. She's got the vision, she's got the distribution, and she's going to look to get it early to players like Smith and Mister on the flanks.
And on the other side for Oklahoma, they're starting 11 for Matt Mott in a 4-3-3.
A 4-3-3 and expect it to be really transitional and really open-ended. At times, the four-back will drop to look like a sweeper stopper, but we're going to highlight number 31, Leonie Weber. She is so intelligent, 6 goals, 6 assists. Look for her to not only distribute services, but also get on the end of them in the 18-yard box.
And number 10, one of the defensive midfielders, Juliet Rayo, the freshman from Wiley, Texas, earning her first collegiate start. Leonie Weber has done that plenty of times before. She is just one career assist away from tying Alexis Washington, as well as Lauren McIver for the all-time program lead. Set to go, Oklahoma in the home whites. It's the Powder Blues for Ole Miss here at John Crane Field. Our center referee, Ben Meyer, ready to go. And we are underway here in Norman, Oklahoma on a hot, blustery fall evening. All the way forward and out of bounds over the touchline for the first Ole Miss, rather Oklahoma possession. Here's Meredith King, gets it back underway. The Ole Miss transfer, 8 goals, 7 assists for her between Ole Miss and also Liberty. Was there for her first 3 years. Came in last season with the Rebels and now has found her way to Oklahoma, where the former Ole Miss head coach now resides in his second season. Matt Mott previously spent 13 years in Oxford, getting his team to 6 NCAA tournaments. A couple of Sweet 16s as well in 2015 and 2020. And Marion, for a program that's only been to 10, more than half of them, those NCAA tournament appearances coming under Mott. Get a free kick here for Oklahoma. Early set piece opportunity here for the Sooners. Trying to break a 4-game losing skid. They only have 1 goal in that stretch. It has been difficult for both of these teams to find the back of the net at times. Ole Miss only averaging about a goal a match. Intercepted. Katie Ramsden out of her left back position, the freshman from England. Funneled out to the far side on the edge of the box, took a deflection, and now finally cleared away in the direction of Ella Pappas. First year for her as a full-time starter, number 15 in white for Oklahoma. Tied for a team high, also has a career high 6 goals this year, go along with an assist. Here's Hadley Morell. Morell has some space, feeds it through, good little slip in, took a deflection on the crossover, and that is going to earn the first corner kick here for Oklahoma. Leonie Weber is going to take it now here for the Sooners after she was involved in that passage. Weber from Munich, Germany, sends the in-swinger on, hits off of the side post, second try is in! An early Oklahoma lead, and that is exactly what the Sooners wanted to see. What an excellent start here for Oklahoma in a match they really needed. Andy Wolf putting it in. A little bit unsettled in the box as well.
And we highlighted Vebor for a reason. Not only was she in the initial passing sequence that led to this corner kick, but what a delivery that almost saw an Olympico. And who there but the center back, Andy Wolf, for the Oklahoma Sooners. And Matt Mott told us, Alex, whoever gets the first goal will have a wild advantage throughout the remaining 90 minutes.
They have come out flying, and Andy Wolf, who has made a home now in Norman, second season for her after transferring from Michigan State, has been a starter ever since coming to Oklahoma, and she has settled in so well. The West Bloomfield, Michigan native in the Detroit suburbs. That was the definition that we have seen so many years at Ole Miss of Matt Mott soccer. Pressure you in the box, earn the corner kick, wreak havoc in the box, and then finish. Second quickest goal of this season for OU. It comes at the 3-minute and 13-second mark, and I would imagine a bit of a shock now for Molly Rouse and the Rebels as they play from behind from almost the jump.
And Oklahoma early on is making their intention known. They are desperate for points. There's no way around that. And they've come out with aggression and with tempo. And I have to figure that Molly Rouse and company knew that this kind of match was going to be on their hands today. And one thing that Matt Mott told us is the middle to bottom tier teams in the SEC are still some of the best in the country. And there is no easy game ever. So this one is a long way from over.
Ole Miss comes out of the scrum. Well done there. Trying to get it back up into the midfield. And tackled away. That's going to take a last touch off of Oklahoma. And for Molly Rouse, trying to build Ole Miss back to what it was previously at Utah Tech for 3 years. Oversaw the transition, and a successful one at that, from Division II to Division I in Utah, but has had her hands full so far in Oxford. And a lot of that, Marion, has to come with the fact that when she took this job, it was so late. I mean, hired May 18th, 2023, didn't have a spring with her team a couple of years ago. Then they've really only had one developmental period last spring. And she said a lot of the difference between year 2 and year 3 is just going to be having more time with her players and to instill the type of culture and the type of style that she wants to play that has been very successful at the Division I level.
And that's also, year 2 is the toughest for most new coaches because you do have that one development spring underneath your belt. So you start seeing progress towards your style of play, towards your principles of play, but it's just close enough to be frustrating. And so oftentimes year 2 is the one where you really have to fight, you really have to dig deep, and the message in the locker room has to be to enjoy the process. And that's actually a very tough ask of competitors who want to go out and win every single time they step onto the field.
There is a lot of young talent, though, on this Rebels team. You have a reigning Miss Soccer in Kentucky, in Kate Blinko. Number 15, you'll see her at the right center back position. And then Kayla Kiefer this year's tied for their team high 4 goals, number 6 in blue. She's the reigning Pennsylvania Gatorade Player of the Year at Central Columbia High School. So there is talent to develop. It's just a question of when Molly is going to get the opportunity to do so. So this spring is going to be massive coming up in Oxford. Dancing, Alexis Washington to the byline, keeps it in, sends it in, but right into the hands of the terrific Japanese goalkeeper, Shu Oba for Ole Miss. That has been a real bright spot in these last couple of years for the Rebels. Oba named to the All-SEC second team last year. had an SEC best 67 saves. She already has 17 clean sheets to her career, including when she started at Eastern Tennessee State. Some developments around the SEC. Auburn has taken a 2-1 lead over Georgia, coming back in that one after an early Nicole Vernis goal was put in with 1 and 46 seconds gone. That's it. But now the Tigers have regained the lead on an Anna Haddock brace, just scored in the 71st minute as they roll on. Texas also tying Missouri up. Lexi Missimo put in a score in the 47th minute. So that game is 1-1, and we'll continue to keep you apprised of everything that has gone on. There have not really been too many finals yet. Just Vanderbilt LSU, which you saw right here on SEC Network before us. Also, South Carolina and Tennessee even at 1 when it was all said and done. Mac Midgley with a PK in the 88th minute. How about that to keep the Vols' hopes alive? Here's Morrell. Pushed on Washington. Washington goes 1v1, but it is parried aside. Katie Ramsden got there once again. Washington earns the throw for her Sooners, already up 1-0 on the 4th minute goal from Wolf. Weber. That is how the goal came. Weber to Wolf after it hit the post. Burrell over the top. That's where Grace Smith clears it away. Meredith King to the rescue there for Oklahoma. Good feed, middle of the box, blocked away. Morrell. There's Kate Smith with the pressure, and just barely. Look at King scampering away. There's that good knowledge and soccer IQ from the grad student from Virginia Beach, Virginia. That was almost a really scary moment there, Marion, for Oklahoma after getting the early goal.
And Ole Miss can make people uncomfortable. They have a bit of bite to them, especially the front 4 or 5 players. They really hone in on winning the ball back as quickly as they can. And when they have players turn to face their own goal, they're not going to let them out easy. That's a prime example of it. We saw it multiple times for Ole Miss this season, just how much attack their defensive pressure can create higher up the field.
Katie Ramsden, the left back, played club for Leeds and for Manchester City. Has a wealth of excellent club experience and has really brought that to Oxford as well. A level of sophistication on the ball, according to Molly Rouse. And a player that really came into her own despite a 2-0 loss to Mississippi State in the Magnolia Cup. Ole Miss played better than that scoreline. Here's a good chance for the Rebels with the equalizer. Trying to keep some composure in the box. Threaded away. And it will stay in. And out now, just for a throw-in, though. Couldn't save it this time, though. And Ole Miss is going to have its first corner. Hattie Patterson's going to take it. The sophomore from Dallas, 11 starts for her last year. Has made all but one game started this season. All but the Texas A&M match. Got past a leaping Sophia Green. And that long-range effort, no problem for Caroline Duffy, who we haven't mentioned yet, but she has been as big a part of Oklahoma's success when they've had it as anyone. The Duke transfer in between the pipes from Clarksville, Maryland originally. She backed up Leah Freeman last year. Has been in all 6 goals this year, second least in Division I behind Mississippi State. Duke has had a fantastic season, and you would think that they are poised for postseason success next week when they start the ACC tournament.
The way that Duke team is playing right now, it is a tough task to put all of their attacking players under fire. They have so many weapons that can hurt you, which Robbie Church wants to go out with his final season in a good way.
Yes, he does. Great friends with Matt Mott as well. That was one of the reasons Caroline Duffy ended up in Norman. Knew he needed a goalkeeper as that's parried away. And Smith clears the damage. Oklahoma is pretty relentless, though, on the offensive end. That's how Matt Mott wants to play. Right into the captain. And no problem for Tate Blinko there. It'll be very interesting with, conference season coming to a close, conference tournaments beginning. It makes you start to think about the NCAA tournament, and while we're not quite there, the SEC has as good a chance this year as any to make a deep run with one of their top teams like an Arkansas, Mississippi State, or an Auburn. But the question is, Marion, how do they stack up to the best teams in the ACC? That's what it always is. Pac-12, you can throw that out because UCLA and USC are in the Big Ten now. Here's Washington trying to double the lead. Instead, unselfish and passed it all the way through the byline. I am so interested to see how they stack up against Duke, UNC, Wake Forest, Notre Dame. I mean, those are going to be the contenders when it's all said and done, of course, along with the best in the Southeastern Conference.
I am too. I think that we're setting ourselves up for a really exciting postseason, not only in the SEC tournament, but ACC tournament obviously a little bit smaller, but definitely going to have some really top-tier talent in the ACC tournament, and then for it all to come crashing in the NCAA tournament. The interesting thing about ACC versus SEC, Alex, is you always seem to meet those top-tier ACC teams before you get to the Sweet 16s, the Elite Eights, the Final Fours, obviously, of the world because of the regional proximity. And so sometimes those early rounds, you end up getting an absolutely stellar matchup between an SEC team and an ACC team.
Well, that's why it's so important with what Arkansas and Mississippi State are doing specifically, because you look in the RPI, Arkansas is number 2, Mississippi State is number 6. So if they can play at home for a long time, of course, everyone knows the advantage that the Razorbacks have in Fayetteville. The Bulldogs are creating that as well in Starkville. We were there when they knocked off the Razorbacks to potentially decide the SEC regular season championship, and it was absolutely buzzing. Weber is going to go short this time. Now works it to the byline, last touch off of Oklahoma. They're going to say Ole Miss, it looks like. No, it should be a goal kick, and that is exactly what Ben Meyer changes it to. Marion, if you had to pinpoint what might make the difference this year for the SEC as in years past, where they haven't had that type of late success in the NCAA tournament, why would it be this season?
Two reasons. Number one, the way that several of the top teams in the SEC scheduled their non-conference. I've seen some of the toughest non-conference schedules this year come out of the ACC than I have in a really long time.
Some night beyond for Oklahoma here. Couldn't get the final pass right.
Second would be the depth. We are seeing, Arkansas is a prime example of that. We are seeing starting rotations galore, and that just speaks to bench players and rostered players getting quality minutes that I don't think that they got in the past. And so when you have depth, that is going to be one of the key attributes, especially for an SEC team, to make it deeper in the NCAA run. Why do I make such an emphasis on depth for an SEC team? Well, the SEC tournament is longer than any other conference tournament out there. And so with that fatigue, you've got to be able to have the players to either help you and you recover perhaps on the first week of that NCAA tournament, or you've got to have players that can step up and the speed and quality of play does not drop. And that's something I think the SEC has struggled with for a long time.
There is no deeper team in the entire country than Arkansas. I mean, they could run multiple 11s out there. That is how many players they have that can make the sort of impact that they need to. I think their quote-unquote B team might compete for a potential first-round bye in the top 4. If not win the league, honestly. I mean, with the way that they've been playing. Although, don't want to give any disrespect to Mississippi State and what they have done. James Armstrong has built such a program that we have been able to see over the years just skyrocket now with premier playmakers like Ali Perry, Aitana Martinez Montoya, Alana Izquierdo. Maddie Anderson, of course, has been the stalwart between the pipes now for 5 seasons. Bulldogs are going to be really dangerous.
There are also teams in the SEC that we actually haven't talked all that much about, just in terms of, I'm thinking highlight packages when we're doing kind of mid-season awards. Their names don't come up, but they're teams that actually I feel like could do really, really well in the postseason. One of those that comes to mind is a team like Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt's had some great results recently. Flipped into the box and just a little bit too high. They were looking for Montgomery there. It's very interesting because Vanderbilt has some excellent results, and they just drew LSU before today. But, I mean, they have a top 25 win over Kentucky, a draw against South Carolina, Georgetown, Auburn, and now LSU, who, that's not going to hurt them too much on the road. Their worst loss this season, the Commodores to number 32 Georgia. That's their worst loss. Everything else has been a result. So after some down years, you would say, in Nashville, with the team teetering on the edge, we always talk about Vanderbilt as the team on the bubble. Maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the opportunity for Weber to make it 2. Just skirts it wide. And that was a picture-perfect chance that goes begging for Oklahoma.
Stepping onto the pitch for Ole Miss, number 8, Kelly Brady, number 11, Bella Leonard. And number 33, Brenlin Mullane.
Mississippi State is up 2-0 on Kentucky in Starkville. So with a win today, that would get them to 24 points with the game in hand against Arkansas. Remember that the Bulldogs got rained out because of Hurricane Helene against South Carolina. They will play that match next Wednesday. So in 6 days in between the end of the regular season and the start of the SEC tournament. Though, Marion, they're also going to have an extra day because they are going to be a top 4 seed. So they'll get a first-round bye, and they'll have time to recuperate. They'll have 6 days before they play on Tuesday of the SEC tournament. Weber, nice little Meg, but a little bit of help from her friends.
I've got to say, Alex, as a local Mississippian, one thing that I've been really proud of you about is since that game at Mississippi State where we went to Starkville and Everybody
I know
said,
what you're
oh, I
gonna
know
say.
that you're a local because of the way that you pronounce Mississippi. I have noticed. Don't think that your hard work has not gone unnoticed with the way you are now pronouncing the state of Mississippi. And I guarantee you, our Ole Miss fans and listeners greatly appreciate the correct pronunciation, albeit not the correct spelling, of our lovely Magnolia State.
The final ISS is silent. That is what I have learned from a native Mississippian herself, Marion Crowder.
Sounds natural coming from you. I've got to say, as a New Yorker, this is a proud moment for me.
I am not sure you should be. First goal came early in this one. Andy Wolf with her fourth of the season, rather in the fourth minute, getting her second of the season. That long-range effort, no problem for Oba. Saw it all the way.
Coming onto the pitch for Oklahoma, number 7, Michelle.
Alabama's all over Florida. Natala Gemelli just put one in the back of the net. Now 3-0 the lead, and that's really important when you look at the SEC table, because Florida's at 5. Oklahoma with the win today would jump them, would get to 7 points on the season. That wouldn't put them into the tournament field just yet. That would put them in third to last. Remember, you need to be in the top 12. LSU getting a point would put them at 8, so that would make Oklahoma's final game obviously incredibly important. They are at Florida on Sunday, so they'd be favored to potentially win that. And with a win, Marion, if they get 6 points out of these final 2 matches, they have a very real shot at getting to Pensacola. Florida does have one more match in hand, though. They do have to play Tennessee, and they do host Tennessee. That's also on that Wednesday next week when Mississippi State and South Carolina play. Auburn holding on to that lead over Georgia. Important for the Tigers as they are trying to solidify a first-round bye. Got to finish in the top 4 to get there, and at the current moment, Arkansas is on 21, Mississippi State on 21 as well, Auburn 15, and South Carolina who got the draw are on 15 points as well. This is always the time of year when you got to keep your head on a swivel because things change so quickly, especially with this being the last match of the night. Did King keep it in? Doesn't look like it. It's going to be an Ole Miss corner.
What a way to get back into a match, these set-piece dead ball situations. Because look, Ole Miss knows that they have no SEC tournament future, but they do have the ability, the very real ability, to play spoiler to a couple teams down the stretch.
In swinger from Patterson. Andy Wolf meets it at the high point. Do it again here on the corner for Ole Miss. Under 19 minutes to go in the first. Take it quickly, go short. Long range effort, took a deflection and just goes wide. Duffy might have had it covered anyway, but after it touched one of her teammates, made it a lot more harrowing there for the Oklahoma keeper.
And what a hit. And Duffy was going to be beat if that deflection was just a bit to the inside netting.
Just on top of the cage. It'll be a goal kick now for Oklahoma.
One of the most frustrating places to be as a goalkeeper. Obviously, no harm, no foul there, but you mentioned she was right on it on the initial strike. Don't think that she was going to be beat on the initial strike, but that deflection, what a frustrating moment could have been for Caroline Duffy to be in the right place, right time, and your teammates trying to make a big play and ends up equalizing.
Ole Miss goes wide. Looking there on the run. Flip through, Smith. Faber jostling for it and takes it away. Showing that technicality and then launches a long ball that does finally find her teammate. Morel, another long-range effort, and Oba just has to parry it over the bar. What a hit.
And not a bad decision. Ultimately felt that it was a bit too predictable to go to Alexis Washington on the right-hand side, but Washington did well to keep the width there. Because of that, it froze the defender's decision-making, ultimately led for room for the shot.
Go to the spot here as Oba comes off her line to punch. Danger cleared by Ole Miss. Washington. Free kick. Gonna go to Oklahoma here. Tried to take it quickly, and then Ben Meyer said no thank you. Faber. Here's Abigail McNulty. What a move! Stays in bounds, has space, feeds it in the middle, and Washington couldn't put it home. All created there by McNulty, the Boston University transfer, who was all Patriot League the last 3 years, has been part of this transfer class for Matt Mott that's made an immediate impact. He's brought in 7 of them, including a player like a Meredith King, Nevaeh Johnson, who we haven't seen yet, but we surely will. Most usually a starter coming over from LSU. And then, of course, McNulty and Duffy in between the pipes. Marin, a fantastic finish between Georgia and Auburn just when the Tigers thought they were going to capture all 3 points. Nicole Vernis completed her brace with 25 seconds left. That on top of Texas A&M and Arkansas playing to a scoreless draw. I would love to know the last time that Arkansas was shut out. That is almost never. So what that means is that if Mississippi State can finish off Kentucky, that would really put a damper on Arkansas's hopes for winning an SEC title. Let me see, they're on 22 points. If Mississippi State won, they'd be on 24, and they, with a win against Texas A&M on Sunday, would be the SEC regular season champion for the first time ever. That would be absolutely incredible. Yeah, the last time was against Mississippi State in that 1-0 win for the Bulldogs that Arkansas was shut out. As we said, doesn't happen often. So we just wait on that Bulldogs score to go final. Looks like they have about 5 minutes remaining between Mississippi State and Kentucky in Starkville. And they'll have 2 matches left. So they're just going to have to get results in their final 2 matches at that. What a story. I mean, you saw Mississippi State as a team that, you know, could potentially do some damage in the SEC. Incredibly, they're going to have a chance if they get this one and then the next 2 to have a perfect SEC season. Arkansas did it a couple of years ago, but Mississippi State has never even sniffed that. Washington. King stay on? She cannot.
Too quick for her own good. Meredith King, probably the fastest player on the field tonight. You saw just how quickly she was able to get onto the back post and try to make something of that cross that went across the face of goal. But early on for Oklahoma, been really impressed with some of their vision in the final third. Specifically, Hadley Morrell has been outstanding. Her ability to take space, her ability to create shot opportunities for herself and to pull things wide and get players like Alexis Washington involved. Seeing some really good things from Oklahoma.
Bashed off, and now King just going to send it out for an Ole Miss throw.
Subbing onto the pitch for Ole Miss, number 25, Keely Johnson, and number 37, Sarah Grano.
Tomorrow night's featured SEC Network volleyball matchup is 24th ranked Florida hosting Tennessee at the O-Dome in Gainesville. Our coverage begins at 7 Eastern. 70th all-time meeting between the Gators and the Vols. Florida leads that series 55-14. Tennessee won last year, though, in a thriller. Went 5 sets, went the distance. Speaking about transfers, there's another one coming in for Oklahoma. Keller Matisse, who started her career at Arkansas, came in before last year. Keely Johnson, striker entering for Ole Miss. Despite just 1 shot on goal so far for the Rebels, they are more than in this match. Gave up an early one, then really settled in now.
That's kind of been the story, right, Alex? Is you see spells of Ole Miss games and you think, no way, that scoreline is what the final ended up being. There were moments even in that Mississippi State game where I felt like they were the better team and they made Mississippi State uncomfortable, unlike some other teams that we've seen in the conference that have better results and have better records. So I say all that to say, this is a point as a player where things start to get heavy, right? And the tension is there because you so badly want a result. But from the outside looking in, they are so close. And I know that that's not the place that they want to be, but you really do have to buy into this process, especially as a freshman, a sophomore right now, which Ole Miss has so many of them that started. It's all about buying into the process and into the journey of, okay, this is where we're at, this is where we're going, and enjoying the progress milestones along the way. Much easier said than done. I've been there before, and it's not a great place to be. But truly, if you can make that mental switch, it really does become one of the most rewarding 4 years of your life.
Yeah, Molly Rouse told us that the energy has been really consistent all year, and yes, they might be eliminated from postseason contention, but their job right now is to run to the finish line and try to get what they can out of these last 2 matches of this season, and then build for the future. Try to get some momentum, especially in the offensive end, because Marion, as you mentioned, this is a team that has been close, but it's been the final third decisions. It's been the finishing that has made all the difference, and that is why in the SEC, when you have those players that are so adept at putting the ball in the back of the net, it makes a huge difference. Hadley Morrell cuts it back. Too heavy a touch, though, and it's sent away by Ole Miss.
There have also been moments for Ole Miss where it's just a bit too easy and they're not turned on early enough on the defensive side of the ball. If we're looking at, year 1 to year 2, at the end of last season, they had 18 goals for them. Well, right now, they have 18 goals for them. So we're looking at about the same goal per game ratio, but they are letting in, at this point in the season, they've already let in 9 more goals than they finished last year with. So right now, they're at 29 goals allowed. And last year they were at 20 goals allowed for the entirety of the season. And so some of that is, as an attacker, right, always having to chase a lead forces the decision making to be a bit uncomfortable, and it forces you to make decisions that get you a goal the quickest way instead of perhaps adhering to the principles of play that Molly Rouse has introduced to her squad. So it's a mix of a couple of things, but I really do feel like one more spring in the development stage under Molly Rouse and her staff and this younger group of freshmen who are so talented will be a team that gets results next year.
Julie Johnson just shoves Meredith King down to the ground. Gets a bit of a talking to as well from Ben Meyer. And you see it in the results too with the goals conceded. You give up 9 more goals at this point, and I mean, you go from 7-5-3 last year overall, 3-5-2, which didn't make the SEC tournament, but was a lot more points. I mean, you're looking at 11 points instead of 1 at the moment because they're 0-7-1 in conference and 5-11-1 overall. I mean, those are the details. Good turn here by Grace Smith off to the races. Though she is met quickly by Michelle Pack. Junior from Texas, checked in recently. Clifton. Difference in this match still came in the 4th minute. Andy Wolf's 2nd goal of the year. A shocker to Ole Miss's system, but they have regained control nicely. Pack might be in here, though. Got to be better than that to beat Oba. The Japanese national team member. She was an alternate in Paris at the Olympics. Japan lost in a thriller to the U.S. in extra time in the quarterfinals. That was one of the matches where you thought, I don't know if the Americans are going to have it, but rescued once again. All the way to a gold medal. All right, Mississippi State and Kentucky have gone final. 1-0 to finish. Kennedy Husband's 2nd goal of this season is the difference there. So that puts Mississippi State on 24 points. Vaults them over Arkansas, who had a draw to Texas A&M earlier and only got 1 point, so they're on 22. So now, what we know, Arkansas has 1 match left. They host Ole Miss. So if the Razorbacks win that one, they are on 25 points. That is the maximum amount that they can grab, which means that Mississippi State will need 1 draw because they hold the tiebreaker in that one as well. Wow, 1 point out of the final 2 matches. So even with a draw, they would clinch on Sunday at Texas A&M, which, by the way, we'll have for you on SEC Network. They would clinch a share of the SEC regular season championship. It was a good ball in, just a little bit too tall.
I have a feeling that an SEC championship, it'll be a good start, but for the way that James Armstrong and company have been performing, the conversations we've had with him on some of our weekly calls, that won't be satisfactory to what he believes his team can accomplish.
nor should it be, because this is a team that has a legitimate chance to make a College Cup. I mean, any team that's 6th in the RPI and number 3 in the latest coaches poll in the top 25, yeah, you're going to think you could be one of the last 4 teams in. Been a good offensive performance so far here from Oklahoma. 6 shots on goal already in this halftime, the most it's had in any SEC match this year. They have been threatening, but still I feel like Matt Mott will think they should have maybe more than one in the back of the net. Morrell.
I agree with that, because right now it feels like Oklahoma is really settling for shots from distance of late.
Kelly Brady flipped through. There's Smith joining the attack. Two and a half minutes left here in the first. If you haven't gotten enough of the SEC tournament picture, we are going to break it down even further. Coming up at halftime, Marion is going to give us her expert analysis on who seems to be good for the tournament, how today's results change the overall table, with this being the last game of the night. Still a few matches remaining to go final, but ours started the latest. Florida, Alabama doesn't look like it's going to be much of a contest there, with a tied up 3-0. And then Texas taking the lead over Missouri as well, coming back after trailing 1-0. Lexi Missimo and Chili Shimkin scoring for the Longhorns in that one. There's Morgan Eichelbarner coming in for the first time, averaging about 24 minutes per game off of the bench for Oklahoma.
One minute remaining.
Ole Miss has really just been launching shots from distance, all of them coming from outside the 18-yard box. Not really testing Caroline Duffy too much. King is going to body that one out of bounds. Ramsden to Julie Johnson, and it hit her, and a handball as the time winds down here on the first half.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And so 45 minutes in the books. Here in Norman, Andy Wolf's goal, the difference. The Michigan State transfer before last season, putting the ball in the back of the net in the 4th minute. And we are joined by her head coach, Matt Mott. All right, well, Matt, 4th minute, you guys already have a 1-0 lead. You mentioned how important it was to us to get that first goal. What did that allow you to do for the rest of the first half?
Yeah, I thought we played with great energy, kind of flying all over the field. You know, just a few more connections in the box. I think we would have gotten a second one.
For their second SEC win this season. The other one came against Texas A&M, which if they finish out this season well, if they especially beat Mississippi State in their regular season finale on Sunday, that could vault them into the top 50 and would be an excellent win on the resume for Oklahoma should the Sooners go on a run at the end of things. Right now, the Aggies sitting at number 65 in the RPI. So that's a little bit of a problem for Matt Mock, because he knows he's been on the selection committee for years and has been in those rooms. He knows exactly what they're looking for and what hurts you and what really helps you. And they don't have a bad loss. Their worst is at Missouri, which, you know, number 90 in the country. Not great in terms of RPI, but it's in the SEC, it's on the road, and it's not going to hurt you that much. Shout out to Stephanie Golan's group, right? I mean, Missouri's making a run at the end. Even though they weren't able to defeat Texas, they are sitting in a good spot right now for the SEC tournament, and I'm not sure a lot of folks thought that that was going to be the case. They're at 10 points, and they are right now a point above the cut line. Really 2 when you think about it, with LSU at 8. Tennessee is the last team in at the moment on 9, and then Missouri and Kentucky both have 10.
Missouri,
so,
a team that really reminds me of, yeah, exactly. And it reminds me of Ole Miss. I mean, in terms of, I mean, Alex, you remember when Stephanie Golan first took over, and there were struggles, right? But there was also this sense of patience and the sense of building that Molly Rouse has as well. And now you're actually seeing all of those close moments start to make an impact for Missouri in terms of the record and the points that they're getting in conference play. So again, just an encouragement piece. I know for the Ole Miss fans out there, the program is not where you want it to be right now, but it is a really tough balance as a head coach between long-term success and winning now. And Molly Roos is navigating that very well.
And also a big part of it, too, is trust from your administration, that they hired the right person, that they are going to give you time to build the program that the way you want it to be built. You rarely see a coach, you know, walk into a program that's not used to winning and immediately change that. I would say that there are, you know, some outliers. Kadani McAlpine of Georgia would certainly come to mind. He had a lot of success right from the beginning, but, you know, he is also coming in with a national champion pedigree with USC.
And even on that note, very similar to Oklahoma, perhaps, in the comment that you were making earlier, that you were alluding to peaking at the right time and being able to make a big run down the stretch. And really, if you look at Georgia at last year when they won the SEC tournament championship, their regular season stats weren't that great. Their regular season record, it wasn't going to blow you away. And it wasn't a huge difference between year 1 and year 2, but it was all about getting players healthy at the right time. The style of play started to click on the players. You had the mental buy-in that this actually means a little bit more than just the game that we're playing right now. And so much of being able to make a deep postseason run is all about peaking at the right time, and perhaps this Oklahoma Sooners team is poisoning themselves to do just that.
Also, it has to be mentioned for Georgia, once Croy Bethune got back on the field, it completely
100%.
changed how they were able to play. So it kind of got them to what Kadani thought they could be from the very beginning and what he had envisioned. Weber, flip through, and there's the second. Oh, absolutely beautiful. Weber to Morrell. And now Weber, on 18 career assists, has tied the Oklahoma record with her teammate Alexis Washington and Laura McIver.
The intelligence of the ball, the intelligence of the run. That's one of the best goals we've seen in all of conference play. My goodness, a pinpoint delivery, perfect texture out to Hadley Morrell. My goodness.
Stunning. Box office there from the Oklahoma forward. Wow. And exactly the way the Madmon wanted to open up this second 45. And in very similar fashion, it comes about 4 minutes after the stoppage.
But it was a much different type of goal, right? We always talk about Oklahoma in terms of their direct ability to play, their directness in terms of getting it into the attacking third. But that was a sophisticated goal. That took a sophisticated finish. And really, it all started with the intelligence of the run. That deep lying run from the midfield position is what kept Morel on side. You make that as a target forward, right? You're running offside the back of the line. But because she made that from her deep lying midfield position, she was able to time it perfectly. The distribution was perfect from Vebor, and the finish was even better.
First time that Morel has scored in SEC play. Here's Ole Miss coming back the other way, and they get one.
No, Ole Miss.
Cut the deficit in half with one strike to beat Duffy.
And that 2-goal lead was nice for Oklahoma. First time that they've had it since the 2023 season. And in seconds, it's cut in half. What a finish to the near post. That ball into the near post. Most attackers are going to open up their hips and try to fire that one to the back post side netting. Saw Duffy cheating just a little bit and sneaks it past her to the near post. What a finish we've had for these 2 early goals in the second half.
Kayla Kiefer putting her now team high 5th ball in the back of the net to go along with 2 assists. What a freshman she is, the reigning Pennsylvania Gatorade Player of the Year, and that is why everyone at Ole Miss is excited about the potential future for her. We're getting our first booking of the match, and that is going on the goal scorer most recently for Oklahoma, Morel.
A yellow card has been shown to Oklahoma number 5, Hadley Morel.
Well, that second goal really opened up this match, and the Sooners just caught sleeping a little bit too much. 51st minute yellow card for Morel. And you would have to say game on here in Norman. It was looking like an easy 3 points for the home Sooners, and that is not the case in any way right now. That's kind of what Ole Miss has been looking for all season, that one moment of brilliance. And they found it here in Oklahoma. I have to say, Marion, the band here at John Crane Field, a very nice touch.
Top tier.
It's an excellent environment for soccer here in Norman. Yeah, they're working hard. That chip found no one. Not a brisk night by any means. Temperature was about 80 at kickoff. And remember, that was 8 o'clock local time. There's King to the rescue. For Ole Miss, that was the second goal in an SEC road match this season. That was it. The other one against Tennessee. They'd gone 385 scoreless minutes between SEC road match goals between that. And, you know, you kind of wondered, will they have enough firepower if Oklahoma's able to find a second? Well, immediately they answer that question with their first. Now, can they answer it with a second goal for a team that's only averaging about a goal per match? This time Oklahoma is going to win the foul as Morel is taken down. The deficit being cut in half is
really ignited this crowd. It's also ignited a bit of physicality into this match. Players realizing that this very much is a game. Ole Miss trying to play spoiler once again to Oklahoma's chances at getting to the beach. And we've talked a lot of scenarios. It's that time of the year where you're kind of in this what-if stage and points are moving in real time. But I do want to remind everyone, it does not matter unless Oklahoma wins this match first and foremost. Then they start looking to the other one, and that's going to be an injury inside the 18-yard box between Sophia Green and Shu Oba. Green looking like she took the worst of it, no doubt.
We are also, looks like, going to video review.
The previous play is under further review.
Expanded video review here in the SEC this season, as well as all 16 stadiums outfitted with Hawkeye technology. Did Oba get there first? Or did she potentially maybe even cause Sophia Green to go down? Which of course would be a penalty. Well, thankfully Green is up. Transferring from Omaha, scored 23 goals in 4 years, was last year's Summit League Offensive Player of the Year. And outstanding center forward, and one that is absolutely crucial to the Sooners. Already has 5 goals this season. So waiting on the word here from the video review and our center referee, Ben Meyer. Well, he's made his decision. Waiting on the indication. Let's see. It's just going to be a drop ball, so it looks like it's clean. Yep. No harm, no foul. It didn't seem like it was anything untoward there from Oba. It looked like she got there in time. But when the video review, why not check?
Yeah, good no call. I was a little nervous there with the delivery from the referee post-Hawkeye video review. It was a little dramatic. I appreciate the theatrics, but I definitely thought that we were about to see something else.
I think any sort of card there would have been really harsh.
I agree.
And it would have had to have been a red card, so
yeah, that's
that would have completely changed
option.
the tenor of the match. So now Ole Miss can still hunt this equalizer here with 35+ minutes remaining. A lot of time left here for Grace Freeman and the Rebels. Oklahoma's going to have it here with Cassie Clifton, the junior from Texas. See 15 Pappas in your screen. She has 6 goals this season. Haven't called her name too much though today, and there she is on the ball. Gonna try to work it in the flanks. Now she cuts back. Pappas feeds the box. Morel working on her brace. Now whistles on Oklahoma. Ole Miss certainly looks a little more spirited after that first ball went in. Cutting this deficit in half. They are hunting that second goal, trying to tie it up. But here is a ton of space now for Oklahoma. Weber, 1v4. Looking for the right outlet. She finds it. And there is Green, who pushes it wide. Took a touch off of Ole Miss. Going to be a corner coming up.
Sooner fans, get on your feet. This is your fifth Sooner corner kick of the evening. Many of you earned a Go-Go ice cream at Fake Bear.
Fifth corner now for the Sooners. 4 so far for Ole Miss. Oklahoma coming into this match led opponents 104-61 in corners gained. That's a good ball. Just skids across the goal mouth all the way back to King. Bit too far there in front of Washington.
Subbing onto the pitch for Ole Miss, number 12.
One more assist for her breaks the Oklahoma career record.
Sarah
She is now sitting on 18 along with Weber,
Number 3, Kate Smith.
who had the helper
Patty
on the
Patterson.
second goal for Morrell. Clifton. Weber. Wide. Was being closed down right at the top of the box.
For Ole Miss, so much of their problems could be alleviated if there was a bit more focus on the next pass. And I'm putting the next pass in air quotes because typically when we refer to the next pass, it's talking about after you have won it out of possession and you're trying to gain possession with the next pass. And they do such good work defensively just to give it away on the very next one.
Weber, did Green stay on? She did not. Or else she had a free rein on Chuoba. 28 career goals for Sophia Green. 23 at Omaha, 5 here this season for Oklahoma. Given away now, Ole Miss trying to break, but all the way up to Wolf with the first goal in the 4th minute for the Sooners. Morrell on the flank. Washington gets by her opponent. Like just off the hip, no handball there for Ole Miss. Even with Pappas in hot pursuit. There's Rayo. Juliet Rayo ripped down for an Oklahoma free kick. The freshman got her first career start today's. Played in all 16 games, but now she begins her first. Probably her first of many. She had a brace earlier against Missouri State. And now here is Weber. Washington trying to track it down. And we'll look at it for a throw.
Subbing onto the pitch
The
for
action has
Oklahoma, number
come down
17,
just a bit here in the last few minutes.
Johnson. And number 22, Abigail McNulty. Subbing off the pitch for Oklahoma.
Heard
number
Abigail
5,
McNulty
Ashley Morrell. And number
checking
28,
in now.
Sophia Green.
With a few different subs for both teams. Weber turns, chips. And all the way it goes back to Duffy.
And we're seeing a huge improvement, a really exciting performance from Oklahoma's attacking group. I mean, just looking at some of the stats, 7 shots on goal, the most in SEC play for this team this season. But if I have to be hypercritical of one thing that I actually believe will unlock so much more for them, it's just the dedication, Alex, to the back post run. How many little chipped in balls, how many services across the face have we seen skip through everybody? But that delayed run from an Oklahoma player is just too late. If they can just make that commitment to having the 3 markers, a near post, a far post, and a slot, they create enough services to really be dangerous.
I would imagine that has to be the message. Washington has been dangerous recently. Into Weber, dispossessed, and it's a penalty. Bella Leonard didn't get it clean, and that play is under further review.
Hard to tell from that angle if indeed the ball was contacted first or if the ankle was contacted first, but that's going to be the conversation topic and what the referee is looking at before there was a play made on the ball. Obviously, we know that we're inside the 18-yard box. Just to clarify, location is not what we're looking at. It's the contact, and here's going to be a better view. Absolutely, absolutely,
I think
that's
Ben
a penalty.
Weber got this one right.
Yep, me
Ben
too.
Meyer,
That's a great call.
Yep.
Great call from the referee. And it was actually a contact made on both feet of the attacking player. Ball contact was made. I don't think this will be long at all, Alex, to confirm the penalty.
Weber has been chaotic throughout, just really in terms of getting Ole Miss into a bit of chaos in the box with her deft touch. I mean, her clinical ability, not only to finish, but also to help. And so penalty it is, confirmed by video review. Weber draws it for Oklahoma. And a chance to regain that 2-goal advantage with 28 minutes to go. Rayo, the freshman, standing over it. Shu Oba is set on the line for Ole Miss. And Rayo with a clinical strike into the side net. Oklahoma leads 3-1 over Ole Miss.
Let's take a look at how we got here. First of all, clinical finish, and Rayo, who near about got the first goal, ends up converting for the 3rd Oklahoma goal of the night. And then has no doubts about it. What a finish. And what a game we have here in Norman.
It is a rare high-scoring affair for the Sooners. First time that they've scored 3 goals in a regular season conference match in their last 26. Since a 3-1 win over Iowa State in the Big 12 on September 29th, 2022. So it's been a couple of seasons since we've seen a 3-goal output. Anytime you do that against a conference foe, it is, grounds for note as well as congratulations. And I would imagine celebration if it ends up finishing this way. The deal will not be done by any means for Oklahoma, but they will have taken a massive step to their goal of making the SEC tournament. That would put them on 7 points.
Getting Washington involved on this right-hand side has really been the difference for Oklahoma in the second half. Don't get me wrong, they were good in the first. We talked about that they came out with tempo. They did have a lull a bit after the initial goal-scoring affair, but really in this second half, it's been all about finding Alexis Washington touchline wide and giving her space to go 1v1 to create opportunities and overloads in the flank space. The penalty kick came from her service into the area. And really, the more involved she is, the better and the more dynamic this Oklahoma attack has become.
Twice this season, Ole Miss has scored 3 goals or more. It was against Southern in the season opener and then McNeese State in the second. So obviously not in conference play and then against lesser competition. So it is going to be a tall task here for Molly Rouse's team to try to get a point out of this match. But not impossible. Still 25.5 minutes remaining.
And I would actually take that big picture even further out of it if I'm Molly Rouse. And it's all about right now, what does my team respond like? What's the character makeup of this group of girls? How can we continue to fight? How bought into the process are we? And taking the results picture out of it at this point in the game for Ole Miss and really just focusing on the quality that we can produce on the field. Are there 5 minutes, 10 minutes of stretches where we're passing the ball well, we're building through the thirds? Is there a moment we're creating a lot of corner kicks and we're just not finishing them, right? So those little nuances is how I'd start assessing the game if I'm Molly Rouse. Less about the results, more about the quality of performance that you can put together through the last stretch of this one.
Yeah, the Rebels haven't scored 3 goals in an SEC match since all the way back in 2021. Span of 41 matches since they beat Alabama 3-1. And that is absolutely something that we'll watch for here for Ole Miss. They are trying to play spoiler here to Oklahoma. Make sure that they do not make the SEC tournament and put a good match together. And so far, well, it has been all Sooners. But, you know, with not much to play for, honestly, for Ole Miss, right? They're eliminated from postseason competition. They know they only have 2 matches left. It will be very telling here at the end of this match. How do you, Marion, at the end of the season when, you know, you're in this spot? How is it for a player to go out and still give 100% effort and, you know, the pride for your school, the pride for your coach, of course, your teammates, it all factors in, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it's so tough. Believe me, I've been in these locker rooms where you just feel like everything is crashing down on you and you can't get out into a positive result. But that is where, as a player, you have got to do some internal reflection. Why are you here? Why do you want to be a college athlete? Why do you want to play for the Ole Miss Rebels, right? Like, you have to ask yourself all of those questions, and you have to really flip the switch mentally to becoming less of a results-oriented type of player and more of a process-oriented type of player, trusting that if I am committed to the process, the results will eventually follow. But it's going to take patience and it's going to take time, and that's a huge mental switch for a lot of players, especially young players coming into the college game. Success is not guaranteed right away, and oftentimes it's not seen right away, especially for a program who is still looking to get on that national stage like Ole Miss is. And so right now, I'd actually argue for a player's perspective, yes, it is so tough, but there is an accountability on you as an individual to flip the switch mentally.
I liked what Molly Rouse said as well, as Oklahoma fights for another one. Going to touch over the bar for a Sooners corner. She said,
Sooner fans, it's another corner
progress
kick.
very rarely happens in a linear way. And sometimes you build up, sometimes you go in the opposite direction only to build back up again. And remember, this is only year number 2 for Molly, so she's got a lot of time left as well. Oba was pushed into the goal, and they are going to count it. It is Oklahoma's 4th.
So you had an Ole Miss defender on the post, so the question of offside is not in play here. The player on the post at the delivery keeps everyone on side, and then it was just a shuffle in front.
Right there.
Oh yeah, there's no call. There's no call to be made. That's just good positioning. That's good aggression. That's good timing of the run. And for Oklahoma, it's a very, very good performance.
And also what that does is with Weber's 2nd assist of the match means that she is now the Oklahoma career assists leader. So she passes Lauren McIver, who previously held it before Alexis Washington had tied it. And so that might change, though, if Alexis Washington ends her season on a really high note. Washington's only a junior, Weber's a senior, so might not be the end of the story, but for the moment, that record is Weber's.
I also like that we always have like these nuanced stats of, you know, touches per game, goals per, all these averages, but to put it as simple into a stat as simply as we can for how good of a performance on the offensive side of the ball it's been for Oklahoma. They had 6 SEC goals entering tonight. They've got 4 on the night.
Yeah. Incredible. Might not be done. Pack feeds it off. Morrell helping out. Pack the other way. Wide. And this is exactly what Oklahoma was hoping to accomplish here at the end of this SEC season, looking for their first conference win at home since joining the SEC this year. Remember, it's a lot of firsts coming in for both Texas and Oklahoma. Members of the Big 12 up until this season. And even though the Sooners are coached by someone who has a lot of experience in the SEC, not only Matt Mott coaching for 13 years at Ole Miss as the head man, but also one of Karen Hoppa's deputies at Auburn before that. He knows what it's like to be in the SEC, and he said this has been a rude welcome back to one of the toughest conferences in soccer because the depth of the SEC is not the same as the Big 12. It is exponentially more difficult. In terms of conference RPI this year, SEC is number 2, right behind the ACC. Big 12 is 4th this season. There's some great teams towards the top, but when you get towards the bottom of the Big 12, it dips off, and that does not happen in the Southeastern Conference at all.
Anybody can play upset any night, and anybody can be the hero any night. It really just depends on what version of the team you get that day sometimes. And Ole Miss is getting Oklahoma's best version that we've seen throughout the entire conference season.
And it goes to show you the depth of the SEC. Like, Kentucky is number 22 in the RPI, right? And they only have 10 points in conference. They have 10 out of a potential 27. Took a deflection right into Duffy. The historic nature continues here for the Sooners, though, Marion. I mean, they've scored now their most goals in a conference game since 2010 against Iowa State when they won 4-3.
And to that point, they've been they've been good on the defensive side of the ball too. So what you don't want to do if you're Oklahoma is let this game end up opening up into a big time way and you end up giving up another goal and now it's 4-2. This should be the score line in terms of goals allowed
dangerous
for Oklahoma. And the only way to do that is to maybe take some of the transitional moments out of this match a little bit. Can you collect the second balls and play a bit longer spells of possession to avoid any kind of Ole Miss comeback for the remaining 18 minutes?
Arkansas transfer Keller Matisse is going to take this 7th quarter of the match for the Sooners. Pack blasts it over the bar. So now looking forward, I mean, if Ole Miss, or rather if Oklahoma was going to have any shot at making the NCAA tournament, they absolutely had to win this match, because you look at the RPI, it would have hurt so much with Ole Miss being at 153. Here's Pack again. And a long strike right into Oba. They have an opportunity coming up against Florida on Sunday. Can't lose that one either, with the Gators being at 81 in the RPI. That's kind of the problem, I feel like, with them sitting at 38. There is a lot of pressure on both of these final 2 matches, and then you see what happens if they get to the SEC tournament. I mean, if they win both of those, you would think that they're going to be in good shape to make it to Pensacola. But then, can they potentially use it as a springboard that the committee can see at the end of the year to get into the final field of 64? It's a resume that lacks a defining win, though, and maybe that's something they can get in the SEC tournament if they make it. But no top 50 wins at the moment. Their best is Texas A&M. Aggies are going to go up, though, after that draw against Arkansas. There's no question there. This is going to be a card here as well for Oklahoma, and that one's going to go on Keller Matisse. Second yellow card of the match. Not for her, of course, for Oklahoma. Morrell got the first one.
A yellow card has been shown to Oklahoma number 9, Keller Matisse. Subbing on to
Matisse is just going to check out, make sure that nothing happens here with Oklahoma in terms of missing the next match or unintentionally picking up another card. Free kick goes in low. Flicked on by Brady, and no one home. The one thing, though, that Oklahoma does have going for it in terms of an NCAA tournament resume is that there are no bad losses for this team, really. I mean, the worst one that they have is against Missouri, which is number 90, but they have a huge strength of schedule. Number 10 is really high. And then we talked about the key win over Texas A&M. They drew Kentucky, which is going to look very good, 2-2 at the end of September, especially if the Wildcats finish this regular season strong.
Well, really, they need both Texas A&M and Kentucky to continue winning. Obviously, that makes it look a little bit better in terms of the key win conversation. I'd probably argue in the committee's eyes, a key win, let's say that they either don't get into the SEC tournament or they, lose in an opening round. The conversation between the committee is going to be that strength of schedule / RPI discussion plus the key win, maybe less, I would think, about a defining loss for the committee at that point. And key wins can change. That's why we say the comment, they really need Texas A&M and Kentucky to keep winning. because key wins can change depending on how good that team does down the stretch.
Tried to slip it through to McNulty. She's working on a brace as well. Well, and that's why the one thing that Oklahoma can't do is lose these 2 remaining matches, because one, it's huge for the SEC table, but then again, your RPI is going to drop, and 38 is not a very comfortable spot to be in.
No.
If you're looking for an at-large bid.
I tell you what, if they do get in, I know that, look, we need to look at silver lining. Obviously, Matt Mott does not want to be in this situation where he's having to hope for teams in front of him to do certain things for them to make it to the tournament. But the silver lining of that is that you will be a lower seed if you get in, and you're going to have likely the opportunity of that key win get at the SEC tournament. So, you know, there's a give and take to it all.
For sure. And depending on who you play on that first day, because, I mean, you look at Kentucky right now is sitting on 10 points, and they are, at the moment, tied with Missouri with those 10 points, and they would be some range of 10th and 11th teams in. So if you got Kentucky again in that first round, that's a massive RPI opportunity for you, because, again, they're number 22 right now. Georgia's only on 13 points at the moment. Vanderbilt is on 13. And you look at the RPIs of both of those teams, Georgia's at 32 and Vanderbilt's at 16. So that's a really good point, Marion. It really depends, though, who you're matched up against and what type of opportunity you have to raise that RPI. Ole Miss going to try to get one back, though. There's Freeman. 13 minutes to go and a 4-1 lead for Oklahoma.
I tell you what, when Ole Miss is forward thinking, they're good. Their problem today and really throughout a lot of the film that I've watched is they get themselves into a troublesome spot because they have this idea, right, where we do want to keep possession, but we're going to do that at the cost of losing ground. So everything is back. Everything is passing back the way we face. But when they play on the half turn and they look to go forward first, they're a good team.
There's certainly a lot there for Molly Rouse to work on in the spring. We mentioned those young players. Some Miss Soccer and a Gatorade Player of the Year in that freshman class.
Subbing onto the pitch for Oklahoma, number 31, Leonie Behe. Subbing off the pitch for Oklahoma, number 5.
Our first men's basketball game of the season is tomorrow night. That's hard to believe. A charity fundraising exhibition between Bill Self and number 1 Kansas, John Calipari and 16th ranked Arkansas. Coverage begins 9 Eastern right here on SEC Network and on the ESPN app. First year in red after so many in blue for Coach Cal. And he's going to have quite a squad, too. Out there in Fayetteville, Boogie Fland, Adu Theroux coming over from Kentucky as well, but Kansas sporting preseason All-American Hunter Dickinson, who very well could be this year's Player of the Year. How cool is it, though, to see that as an exhibition?
I just can't believe we're in basketball season already. But, I mean, can you just bookmark every single year when I say this? I say this comment every single year that I can't believe how quick the soccer season is.
It's like clockwork in mid-October. Player down now here for Oklahoma. Last thing that the Sooners are going to want is to lose someone at the end of this match. There's McNulty, and that's Weber, who just got clipped on her cross attempt. All right, Coach Matt Mott is going to walk out onto the pitch as well to tend to her. The last person, really, that Oklahoma could lose at this point. Weber does not have a goal tonight, but she does have 2 assists on the Sooners' second goal, which was simply stunning.
Beautiful.
To Morel. And then the assist as well on the McNulty goal off the corner kick. She looks like she's in a great deal of pain, though, there lying on her back in the box. Tended to by her trainer. Weber, a member of the German under-17 team for the World Cup in Uruguay. Someone who could very well have a professional career when she is done. She's already the career assists leader after today's 2. And she's quick to pop up. At this point, if you're Matt Mott, Marion, do you say, we're not risking anything? Go sit on the bench for the last 11, 13.
I would do that for the majority of my attackers here in the last stretch of minutes. Because that's also the key element to a deep postseason run. We've talked about depth, right? We've talked about certain styles of play, of course, but a huge key to it, and it sounds so simple to point out, but it's availability. How healthy are you? How recovered are you to be able to play the kind of style that you want to play? And I'd argue that, well, actually, I wouldn't argue. The SEC coaches will argue at the end of the season about the SEC tournament and its nature in terms of how many games are played in a week and how that bodes for them in the NCAA season. But that's not for you and I to decide. We're just here to report on it.
They wouldn't listen to us anyway, don't worry.
I don't blame them.
It's a contentious conversation, though. There's
It is, but rightfully
dueling
so.
schools of thought there.
Subbed on to the pitch for Ole Miss, number 6, Kayla Kiefer.
Do you make it more like the ACC tournament? It's going to stay in on the byline. No one there on the cross, a little bit too much on it. And it'll be cleared by Ole Miss. So the first is like the ACC tournament where only 6 teams make it, and the top 2 get a bye, and then you go to the semifinals and finals in one site in Cary, North Carolina at Wake Med Soccer Park, and then with the SEC, you make it an event. You have a first round, quarterfinals, semifinals, and championship. So in essence, if you go from the first round to the championship, you're playing 4 matches in 7 days. But if you're a top 4 seed, you're only playing 3 matches potentially in 7 days. Nice save by Oba. But it's different schools of thought because, Marion, the question is, for a lot of teams, they're using those matches as kind of playing games in their own way to try to get the committee to take a look at them and see if you pass the eye test. Can you help your RPI as well? This time it's McNulty with Weber on the bench. Gonna do it again.
Sooner fans, it's another corner kick.
I have lots of thoughts to add to your discussion that we can get into after the corner kick.
You only have 9.5 minutes, though. Through Oba's hands. It hit green. Oh, what a kick save by Oba, keeping that 5th goal out. That looked destined to be number 5 here for the Sooners.
Well, Shu Oba's had no shortage of action inside her 6-yard box, and she's having to make pinpoint save after pinpoint save, and what a kick save. The ability to get to ground that quickly makes her one of the most agile goalkeepers in this conference, but they're going to do it all again.
Just from the other side here with McNulty. And really, Ole Miss has to be thanking Sophia Green the most. She was the one that got in front of that initial shot. Brady. This offensive onslaught just has not finished here for Oklahoma. They have outshot Ole Miss 23-8, and they've gotten 12 shots on goal to just 3 for the Rebels. It's also only the 8th time that OU has scored 4 goals in a conference game since the program began back in 1996. And ties a school record for conference goals in a game. So all in all, just a huge night here for Oklahoma. And that very nearly was number 5. Ella Pappas trying to bend it past Oba.
It's crazy what kind of confidence can be unlocked when you see 1 or 2 go in the back of the net. This is the most dynamic that I've seen Oklahoma look on any film that I've watched, and a lot of that has to do with the confidence that they are seeing on the ball. You have more players that want the ball, more players who want to be involved in the attacking third, and because of that, you get more numbers, you have more options to pass, and it's a positive spiral.
Green dancing on it.
Subbing onto the pitch for Oklahoma, number 10, Juliet.
6.5 minutes left.
Subbing off the pitch
Here for Oba, we're going to get Julia Rayo to come in
Buckingham.
here for Oklahoma. Alexis Washington is going to take a well-deserved seat here for OU. Final match of the night here in the SEC on a busy Thursday. All 16 teams in action, 8 matches, 7 have come to a conclusion. We'll update you on the final table after this Thursday night when we have the final whistle here in Norman. And then it sets up for a huge decision day, well, pseudo decision day, I guess, in some ways, with 2 more matches to be contested next Wednesday. But Sunday is going to be really fun. We mentioned that Marion and I will be with you for Texas A&M and Mississippi State in College Station, with potentially a chance for the Bulldogs to clinch with the result the SEC regular season championship, at least a share with the draw, depending on what Arkansas does. Tennessee and Kentucky will be on SEC Network. That's a 2 o'clock Eastern time start. LSU and Missouri will follow on SEC Network, 4 o'clock Eastern. And then we'll have it for you, the finale, what was supposed to be the finale of the SEC season, of course, because of Hurricane Helene, it was not, but 6 o'clock Eastern time on SEC Network, number 3, Bulldogs and the Aggies. And very much looking forward to getting to Ellis Field for the first time, Marion. That's who the 12th man's all about.
I haven't been to Ellis Field as a broadcaster, only a player, not the fondest of memories, but G and I have settled our differences since then. No, look, Ellis Field is a really tough place to play. The 12th man is a very real thing.
And they are going to need it against an opponent like Mississippi State. And you know, though, the big thing is, you know, Sunday night, there is a football game there earlier. Of course, a day earlier, so hopefully fans will be able to recover and make their way to Ellis Field, coming from Kyle Field. But they are going to draw a great crowd. And we've got plenty of football for you here on SEC Network on Saturday. Starts with Arkansas and Mississippi State in Starkville, and then the Longhorns and the Commodores. That is a ranked matchup, as Caroline Duffy is going to get congratulations and check out. And then Auburn and Kentucky will close it out 7:45 Eastern. Each game also available on the ESPN app. Quinn Ewers still the starting Texas quarterback despite being benched. Marion, a game that I know that you had circled for a long time, and one that you were rejoicing when it was all said and done, and certainly in that first half when Arch Manning came in down 20-0.
Our producer and I are at odds at the moment.
It's a healthy rivalry.
Absolutely.
Kind of a welcome to the SEC moment for Texas, though, in a lot of ways, wasn't it?
You know what? I would love to be able to say something, but because of Georgia's early season performances, I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and I'm just going to hope that they continue on this positive track. That's all I have to say.
How diplomatic of you.
It's rare. Mark it down.
I am. October 24th, Marion didn't brag about Georgia.
Georgia. Perfect. There you go.
2:45 left. Thankfully, Andy Wolf, the first goal scorer for Oklahoma, all the way back in the 4th minute, is at least okay enough to continue. New goalkeeper in the match is Sierra Giorgio, coming in for just the second time this season. She only played the final 19 minutes against Stetson, the redshirt junior, originally from Ontario, Canada, transferred in from Syracuse. She played in her first season in Oklahoma last year, started 5 matches. 2 minutes left. Oklahoma hunting a 5th goal. Still a chance, though, here for the Rebels. I believe we have a whistle from Ben Meyer. And we do. Free kick for Oklahoma here with 90 seconds remaining, as they put a bow on an impressive finale here at John Crane Field. They're going to go to Florida on Sunday with a chance to potentially put themselves into the SEC tournament. You would think 3 points and getting to 10 is going to at least get them close. Generally, somewhere in the 12-point mark is what teams look for. But that's, again,
it's been a crazy season.
But you had also 14 teams and not 16 teams, and 10 make it, not 12. So we don't really know. It's uncharted territory in a lot of ways. We can tell you at the moment the line is 9 points going into Sunday.
Remaining.
60 seconds left, and Ole Miss, unfortunately, is going to run their winless streak to 10 straight in the SEC. Their lone result was a draw to South Carolina, which maybe made you think, I mean, against an opponent like South Carolina, that is very impressive, but just have not been able to continue that momentum that they gained from that result. Ole Miss will finish at home against Arkansas on Sunday. And that match will be on SEC Network Plus on the ESPN app. Pack. That's just about how this match will come to a close here. SEC After Dark here on SEC Network on a Thursday evening. So Oklahoma gets to 7 points in conference. They win their second SEC match. And Ole Miss stays put on just one single point. It was an outburst from the Sooners, a goal in the first half, but 3 in the second, and their first SEC win at home.
And it was all about taking care of business. Leaving everything else up to the teams in front of you didn't matter unless you took care of business here tonight, and Oklahoma did that. What an offensive display. 24 shots, 12 on goal. And in their previous 3 matches, Alex, 29 shots, 11 shots on goal. That just goes to show you what an offensive outburst this group had. Players playing with confidence, playing with joy, lots of